Hey, how's everybody doing today? We are the real estate ladies of North Atlanta, Mary Ellen Vanaken and Sue Jennings. And today, Sue, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about how to get started as a real estate investor.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. Everybody wants to be an investor, but they don't know where to start. So, what are we going to
Right.
talk about specifically today?
So, our basic topics today are how to educate yourself, setting your goals, assessing your finances, building your network, starting small, doing your due diligence, developing a business plan, taking action, and then finally, continuously learning and adapting.
Yeah, so this is a great topic to talk about. So let's talk about educating yourself. What do you need to know? Like, what books should we be reading, or what should we be doing? So there is a real estate book by Gary Keller, and it's a real estate investor book, and I strongly suggest that's something to start with. I think educating yourself online, and I think the best thing is educate yourself online, but then talk to a realtor who
Right.
specializes with investors, because the process, depending on what you want or what you need, I think that's probably the best course of action you want to do.
Right. So that's an excellent book to read, of course. And I think one of the first things you need to decide in your own mind after you read that book is what your strategy is going to be. What type of real estate investor do you want to be? Because you could be investing in homes that you want to hold for a short period of time and flip them and then resell them. That's one type of investing. Or you could be looking at commercial properties. Do you want to own, small office space? Do you want to own retail space? That's another and totally different type of investing. And then a third kind, of course, is the rental market. Do you want to own, small condos? Do you want to own single family homes? So there's a whole wide range there, but strategy is really important as far as what your interests are. Wholesaling also is another strategy that you could have as far as real estate investing. But what you really need to do is familiarize yourself with the local market trends, your financing options, and your legal considerations. And of course, always talk with your CPA.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is really important, talking with your CPA. But going back to, if you're going to do rentals, there's three kinds of rentals. There's short-term rentals, there's
Hmm.
mid-range rentals, and there's
Hmm.
long-term rentals. So like
Hmm.
a short-term rental is like an Airbnb, right? And
Hmm.
midterm is anything like over 30 days. So say you have like a visiting nurse that's going to be there for, 2 or 3 months. That would be another
Hmm.
kind of rental. And then long
Right.
term is usually 12 months and beyond. So that's
Right.
also important to know what kind of strategy, because if you're doing, if you have a short term strategy, you're going to need to put a lot more things in place, like cleaners and property managers and things like that. So really kind of dig into what's going on. And right now in the Airbnb market, there's certain areas that are, not allowing that. So it's really important to find out your strategy, talk to your agent, and make sure that you're doing your due diligence while you're purchasing that property to see what kind of rental it can be.
Right. So Airbnbs in Georgia might include mountain properties like up in Blue Ridge. There's some beautiful property up there. It could also include lake property, like in the Lake Reynolds area, Lake Oconee area, Lake Lanier area. There's all different types of areas and properties like that. Also, if you're interested in Airbnbs that are out of state, Mary Ellen and I can refer you to a great agent that can assist you with Airbnbs in some of the more well-known vacation spots that you might be interested in.
Yeah, and also, like, remember, we can also refer you to people around the world. So we have people in
Hmm.
Italy, we have people in Costa Rica, we have people in Germany. So anywhere, China, Vietnam, wherever you want to buy. So I think you have to remember that we're your go-to people. We can connect you with someone who is specialized in that specific area and specializes with investors too. Because I think it's really important to interview the agent that you're working with, because when we have someone who's an investor, what's the first thing we ask them? We ask them, what's your strategy? Because that
Right,
will gear
right.
us in a different direction. And also here in the Atlanta area, there are a lot of subdivisions. So there's a lot of subdivisions within houses and within condos and townhouses, and a lot of them have rental restrictions. So
Mhm.
those aren't going to work for you. So you really need to have someone who knows what's going on with the market, and what homes can rent and which ones cannot. So I think you just have to be
Right.
up and about on all that information.
Right. And as we're talking through, investing in real estate today, we're not just talking to our, local or even domestic Georgia or even U.S. Clients that are perhaps watching this podcast today. We're also talking to our clients that are in Asia, our clients that are in Europe, and overseas and so forth, that do contact us, that we do work with and sell properties to. Now, we do not, Mary Ellen and I are not licensed property managers. That's a separate license here in the state of Georgia, but we can refer you to a great property manager if you do not want to self-manage a property. But, when we're talking to our audience today, we're talking to everyone internationally.
Right, absolutely. So I think that that's really important, that we can help you, we have clients from Hong Kong, we have clients from Europe, we have clients
Hmm.
from all over the world. And then we figure out their strategy, and then we help them purchase a property. One
Right.
more thing, another strategy that is really good, and we've gotten a lot of our investors into that, is new construction.
Hmm.
Because sometimes when new construction is built, you can be one of the first investors in that subdivision. And then that's also a really good strategy as well. So new construction
Right.
is a great strategy to look at as well.
Right, because these new construction townhome communities, for instance, will cap the number of renters that are allowed in a particular community at a given time, and then anybody else who wants to come in has to be put on a wait list. But we often refer investors that are looking for one, two, or multiple properties even to purchase in one particular or multiple townhome communities for that particular reason, because there's no exterior maintenance on these properties. Everything on the inside is brand new. And, if we can assist you with getting to purchasing property before the cap is met, it's the easiest way to get into some of these townhome communities. Plus, when you're purchasing early like that, you're also getting in at the best price. Because
Right.
once
Yeah,
they stop
definitely.
building, the prices generally go up on those
Yeah.
investment properties.
Yes, definitely. So setting goals. When I think individually you have to set goals, and then you need to talk to your realtor and
Hmm.
your CPA and your financial planner, and figure out, first of all, what is your goal? How many properties you want to
Hmm.
purchase? What is the price point you want to stay in? And then also how much money you're putting down. So, and that's really important in an avenue of, right now, a lot of places in Atlanta, if you put 20% down and you rent it, you're not going to be making any money. You're
Right,
going to be, waiting for the appreciation of that property. If you pay
right,
cash for it, you'll then be getting cash flow. So I think it's really important, when you're looking at, is putting your goals together and then working that strategy.
right,
So, depending on how much money you're putting down, what is your strategy? How long are you holding the properties for? What is your ultimate goal on a property? So, for
right.
example, a lot of my investments are new construction, right? So my goal is to buy the new construction, do long-term rentals, have a property manager in effect, and then
Hmm.
sell those properties before all the big issues start happening in a house. So 5 to 7 years, keeping those property, getting the rental income on those properties, and then selling them,
Hmm.
and then getting the appreciation on those properties. So that's just a
Right.
strategy that I use, that I like. What other strategies have we had with our clients, Sue?
Well, I think it's important to also have a diversified investment portfolio so that you're not purchasing all your properties in just one particular area, one particular location, or even one particular type of property.
Yes.
Because you never know if something's going to change in a particular market that could be detrimental. So, like any other investment, you really want a balanced portfolio, and really understand what your wealth goals are.
Yeah, and I love the balance side too, because it's
Mhm,
like everyone has a strategy, everybody, and some people want multi-family homes or
mhm,
apartments.
mhm,
So really just look at your strategy and just kind of go with your goals, because not only you're investing in real estate, people are investing in other things, whether they're businesses and the stock market or whatever they're investing in, to talk to your CPA, to talk to your financial planner and see what is the best strategy for you to get into real estate investing if that's what you want to do.
right, because you need to really decide what you're comfortable with as far as a return on your investment. And that is not just at the point when you resell the property, but while you're holding the property. So it's basically looking at the rental income that you'll be getting every month, and then your costs associated with holding the property, such as taxes, HOAs, maintenance, what your property manager cost is going to be. And you that's where the age of the property comes into the play, the size of the property, everything else. Everything has unfortunately a cost associated with it. So you need to know, where your break even is and what kind of return on your investment you ultimately want to achieve.
Yeah, and insurance is also very important there too. Insurance
Exactly.
costs, and then you also have to have like a little slush fund for when something happens to the house, even if it's a new house. I mean, something
Hmm.
might, a pipe might break, or a toilet breaks, or something that's not under warranty or whatever. You could put a home warranty on all your properties, but
Hmm.
there's still costs involved if you have someone that comes out to check your AC unit, to change your filters, to do things. There's always a cost involved, especially if you're not local to the area
Right.
of where you have your investment properties. So,
Right, because with the home warranties, you do have a copay that you have to
yes.
pay every time somebody comes out to the property.
And a lot of property managers will make you have a slush fund, a little slush fund on each
Hmm.
property that
Hmm.
that you have to. And then also remember, if your property manager or your realtor is marketing that property to get a tenant in, there's a cost involved in that as well. So
Right,
remember that
right,
is something that, and if you don't have a property rented, you're out that money. So make sure you
right.
have a little slush fund for your investment properties so that, if somebody doesn't pay, that happens. Unfortunately, that does happen, and you have
Right.
to evict, or that property's vacant for a month or two because of the market. You need to, take care of, remember that in your finances. So,
Right. So that all comes into, our category of assessing your finances and then considering your budget for the property acquisition, any renovation costs, ongoing expenses, and potential vacancies.
yeah,
And
so I think we,
this leads us to how people are going to finance this. Of course, cash is king, and the best way to do this. But there are financing options through mortgage companies, private lenders, and other partnerships that maybe you could put together. But as far as traditional mortgages, which is what we generally are working with, those mortgage companies could ask for more than 20% down because you're not residing in the property and it is not a primary residence.
yeah, so really that's the next avenue, is that once you talk with us before, of your strategy, before we even start looking at properties, we send you off. If you're going to be financing it, you need to talk to a great lender and build a great relationship with the lender on, if you're going to buy multiple properties, or is
Mhm.
it better to put 25% down or 40% down? Because what is your goal of what you want to net each month out of those properties?
Yep. You always need to do the math.
And then
It always
you
comes
always
down to the numbers
the
and what's
math
going to
is always
work.
important. And also, strategies on if you're doing a short term or a midterm or a long term rental. So you have to kind of
Right.
look. There's just so much involved in being an investor and really learning about it. And there's so much great information out there for you to read and people to talk to who've been through it. And just kind of, talking is really really good to communicate with people that have been in your own boat where they've never invested in a property, and then they start investing, and they just really like that for the strategy of their building their wealth.
Mhm. Right, right. And I think it's really important as you're talking to people, go ahead and start building your network, because you need to have a network of other real estate investors that you can talk with. You need to have a great realtor that you're working with, such as Mary Ellen and myself. You need to have lenders that you can trust and communicate with, and that can turn things around quickly if an opportunity does present itself that you want to buy something and maybe close in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You also need to have contractors and handyman at your on your preferred vendor list, so that you know who to call in the event that somebody calls you on a Saturday morning and says there's water running out underneath my garage door, help me. What do I do? So you need to have industry professionals backing you on all of this. One of the ways you can build this network is to attend local real estate investment clubs, networking events, take seminars to connect with like-minded individuals like yourself and learn from their experiences. Building a strong network can provide, valuable information to you and give you advice and also opportunities.
Yeah, and just piggybacking on that, if you have a property manager, then you don't really have to deal with that, right? So
No.
a lot of people want to self-manage their properties because they don't want to pay someone to do it. And that is also a big consideration when you're thinking about this. Do you want to be called at 11 o'clock at night when a pipe burst? Do you want to, and then you have to get somebody out there ASAP. So sometimes if you have multiple properties and you're self-managing it, it's like another full-time job. So just take
Right.
that into effect.
Right. And from personal experience, whether you are purchasing the additional properties for your own enjoyment, like keeping them as second, third homes, that type of thing, you need to keep in mind that you still need somebody that's going to do a drive-by for you in the month or weeks that you're not there. And also, you're still going to have, your lawn person lined up. You're still going to have your contractors lined up in case you do get a phone call. I had an investment property years ago. It was up in New Jersey, and I wasn't always there, but I did not rent the property out. I kept it as a second home, and it was lovely, but man, it could be a headache at times.
Absolutely. And nowadays it's a lot easier than so you can have like cameras everywhere, and that at least
Right,
that it's still standing, right?
right,
And
right.
you have to become best friends with your next door neighbor so that if there's
Exactly,
any issues there,
exactly,
or the nosy neighbor that will walk by and say, oh, I saw something out of place, and call you or text you. So that's just another
exactly.
way to deal with investors. So
Right.
after we're building our network, what do we do, Sue?
Well, I would recommend starting small. Take
Okay.
take one step at a time, and don't like jump into too many properties at once. You want to start small, gain experience and confidence as a real estate investor. This could involve, purchasing one property, a duplex, a multifamily property, or something like that to rent out and renovate. And then starting small will allow you to learn the ropes without taking on excessive risk.
Yeah, I agree. Starting small, and once you have your strategy, and you can have different strategies where I'm going to have
Mhm.
one property that's a flip, one property that's a short-term rental, one property that's a long-term rental, one that's a midterm, and then I'm going to be like, oh, well, I want one in Florida, I want one in Texas, I want here, and I think it's really important to find out the tax laws in those specific states and
Hmm.
talking to your accountant and your financial planner. I think that that is really, really important when you want to start out investing.
Right, right. I totally agree. You definitely need to do your due diligence, and you need to, look at every property separately, that you're thinking about investing in, research the area thoroughly, analyze market data, evaluate and compare, recent sales of similar properties in the area. Make sure you inspect the property and before you purchase it. You really always need to look at your risk and your return. It's like any other investment, whether it's with your financial advisor at Vanguard or Goldman Sachs or whoever it is, and you need to be informed on each of these decisions.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So I think we've kind of really talked a lot about, you know, assessing your risk before moving forward on stuff and
Hmm.
not just jumping
Hmm.
into stuff. And also having a conversation with your realtor if it's not the specific area, if you're not familiar with an area where you're investing. Like some people come to us and go, well, the school has to be this number and this has to be that number and this has to be
Hmm.
in a good area and stuff. And a lot of stuff we can't say ethically, but we can say, well, you can do your research on the crime, you can do your research on the schools and make
Hmm.
your decision. All we can do is give you data. We can't make the decision. We can't, just like when you're purchasing a house, we can't say,
Hmm.
oh, you should buy that house. We'll give you the numbers, we'll give you the information, and you informally have to make a decision on that.
Right. There are plenty of websites where you can get demographic data. Are plenty of websites out there that evaluate the schools of an area. And if the schools are a concern, go visit the schools. Drive
Yeah.
through the neighborhood and make your own assessment as to whether this looks like something that could be a good investment for you.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff online now, even if it's somewhere that you don't live, you can just Google that area and you can really find out lots of information. So you kind of have to do your homework, just like
Mhm.
anything else, right? So you
Right,
got to do your
right.
homework.
So you do need to develop a business plan, and you may want to even establish an LLC to hold these properties in the LLC. So basically, what you need to do is create an ongoing business plan of what your real estate investment goals are. Look at your strategy, look at the target markets within the areas that you're interested in purchasing, and perhaps how you're going to finance those purchases, and also what are your exit strategies after everything's all said and done. You also need to look at this from a tax standpoint. Are you ultimately going to need to do this as a 1031 exchange someday when you go to sell the property so that you can, shield the capital gains that you perhaps are going to gain off of this property until later in life when maybe you're in a lower tax bracket. Your business plan is your roadmap, and it's your roadmap for your investment journey, and it will help you stay on track and stay focused and reach your goals.
Yeah, and also just going, I don't if you don't know what a 1031 exchange is, basically what the is, you don't want to pay capital gains on
Mhm.
that property. So instead, you will sell that property, but buy another property at the same dollar amount and just do that exchange and you just have to exchange it there instead of having to pay all like taxes. So we do see a lot of 1031 exchanges in the market, even when we're dealing with regular people that are single, that are purchasing their first home or their second home in the residential area. We're seeing a
Mhm.
lot of 1031 exchanges. It's a very good
Mhm.
strategy. So talk to your accountant to see if that's the best strategy when you do sell a property for you and your situation, because everyone's situation is different.
Right. So, Mary Ellen, I've put my business plan together. I have set up an LLC perhaps for my investments. I have a CPA lined up. I have a mortgage lender lined up. I have a lot of cash in the bank. What should I do next?
Well, I think now that you you have your plan together, I think the best thing you can do is sit down with an amazing realtor and tell them, show them your business plan, show them what you want to do, dumb it down. This is what I want. This is what I want to do. And then the fun begins, right? The fun
So,
begins
take
of finding
action.
property.
Take action.
Take action. So you're going to take action by, finding properties, running the numbers, seeing if it works, visiting properties, seeing if they're okay. And if you're out of, that's why if you're out of state, it's great to have a realtor who can go and do video walkthroughs for you if you can't get into town to see that property. And
Mhm.
we sell a lot with people in Europe and in China and, over in Asia. And they never visited the property. They'll just, they trust us and we do our thing. So, you have to be comfortable with however you're going to be seeing those properties and purchasing those properties.
Right, right. You'd be amazed at how many people do purchase property without seeing them. After they've done a video walkthrough with us, the the largest property I ever sold was to somebody that hadn't seen the property, was a $2.4 million property, believe it or not. But we were able to do video walkthroughs and talk to them and give them all the information that they needed, and they were very, very comfortable, and the transaction went through beautifully.
Yeah. So you have to just, like I said, you really have to have trust too. Trust involved in this situation. So you have to have
Right.
trusted vendors and trusted lenders and trusted everybody,
Right.
CPAs and tax people and realtors. So
Right. Yeah, you really need to have your team and, continuously learn and adapt and communicate with your team as to what your goals are and how you want to proceed, because there's so many different avenues within investing. Like we said before, it could be that you want to rehab homes. It's that you want to invest in a certain type of home, a certain price point of home,
right.
a certain area, or you want to diversify and do a variety of different things. Commercial properties, apartment complexes, there's all different types of things that you could be doing. So you want to stay informed. You want to stay aware of what's going on in the market. You want to look at industry news. You want to look at changes in any regulations and changes in tax laws and anything that would impact your investments and your strategy. It's your business. This is important. You're your CEO and you need to stay on top of everything and, be flexible with the ever-changing real estate industry itself, but that's how you maximize your success.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is great information for just where do you start? How do you do it? I think we put the systems in place for you. These are the strategies. This is what you need to do. Anything else you want to add today for about investing?
No, I just think it's a fantastic way to build wealth and, create a secure future.
Yeah, and I think you really have to make sure that you're financially, if something goes wrong, that's why you start small. If something
Right.
goes wrong, you have money, extra money lying around to cover costs if it's not rented, if you have to pay a mortgage, if you have to, what I mean, pay for repairs. So I think that you have to have a nice little nest egg and create an LLC if you want to, or however you want to do it. That's up to you and your tax person. But just have an account specifically for that
Mhm.
rental property, which is really important too, so that it's easy for your tax accountant to deal with this kind of stuff every.
Right. And I always tell people to be realistic that one day does not an investment make. Sometimes the investments are going to go up and down, and you're going to have to ride that wave just like any other investment. And you just have to be realistic and stay on top of everything. This is a business, and you need to treat it as a business. And not it's not a casual thing. It's not as easy as a lot of people may think it is. But if you're well prepared and you have your team put together, it can be very, very smooth and seamless.
And then one more thing that I think is kind of important that a lot of people do is that their kids go off to college, right?
Hmm.
They buy a property in the college town
Right,
instead of paying, because it's so expensive now to stay on a campus, right?
right,
So
right,
isn't it great? And you can, put it in their name. They can invest in it or whatever. So you're building your legacy for your family. And
right.
also your children can be building their legacy as well. So we do see a lot of people that come here and they've got, their kids are going to Georgia Tech or Georgia State or
Hmm.
Emory or
Right,
whatever. And they're like, I'm not paying all that money for a dorm. I
Mhm.
want to purchase a property for them, and then they can get roommates that help pay the
Right.
mortgage, right?
Right.
So that, even, because college students, they don't care about, roommates. They could put a lot of people in there, right? And then people that are coming to the college that, being in a dorm is so expensive that,
Right.
it makes more sense, and, everything works out. And there's always going to be challenges and, with something like that, but, you just have to have a plan. So I think that that's
Right.
a really good plan too. If you have, say you have, little kids, just put money away every single month so that you have
Right.
a down payment. And another way to start, if you don't know where to start, is that have an account and every month put money into it so you until you have that down payment to purchase a property. So that
Right.
just like you do when you purchase your first property, let's do it for your second, third, and fourth property, just kind
Mhm.
of the same thing.
Mhm.
And some people love those vacation homes, like you said, and they just buy the vacation home for the sake of using it for them and their family, their legacy, and they don't rent it. And then when they sell it, they just make the profits off that. So that's
Mhm.
just another way to do it as well. So
Right.
there's so many different strategies and so many different things to do in investing, isn't there?
There is. It's actually fascinating because it's a lot more involved than what people ever think about. They think about owning real estate, but they don't realize the number of different types of real estate properties that they can invest in. And everybody's got their own niche as far as what they like and what will work for them. And that's what you need to discover, what works for you.
Yeah, definitely. What works for you? So here we are again, another edition of Real Estate Ladies of North Atlanta. Today we discussed how to get started in real estate investing. We really appreciate you hanging out with us for a while, and check out some of our other podcasts. And you guys all have a great day.
Thank you.